Hey guys, it's Miss Long. We are going to be taking notes today in our interactive notebooks, so you will need to make sure that you have your notebook with you. We're going to start by putting today's notes in our table of contents so we can find them later. So if you will label the date 9/4, the assignment is going to be abiotic and biotic notes. And it's going to go on page 1. So if you need to take a minute and freeze your screen or pause to copy this down, again, it says abiotic and biotic notes. All right, now that you've done that, you're going to need to turn to page 1 in your notebook. So I'm going to turn in my notebook to page 1. Make sure in your bottom corner you have a 1 so you know what page you're on. For you, my virtual friends, we are going to divide up our page. If you don't have a ruler, that is perfectly fine. You can just kind of guesstimate. But we are going to divide just about in half here. And then over on this side, you're going to also need a line. And you can just use the line that's on your paper if you would like. And then we're going to do one more line through the middle right here. All right, now we need to do some labeling. So I'm going to label this first box Abiotic Factors. The second box is going to say Biotic Factors. Then I'm going to turn my notebook, and our bottom box is going to say Examples. And our top box right here is going to say Definition. All right, I'm going to put a line at the bottom just for my own peace of mind, guys. Okay, so now you have your paper boxed off, and we're going to actually fill it in and take some notes. So you can use a pencil or whatever utensil works for you guys. I'm going to do a little bit of differentiation with colors. So I'm going to be using blue for my first box. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little so you guys can see just a little bit better. Okay, so in our first box, we need to make note of what abiotic factors are. So the first few things that we need to be aware of are that ecosystems are made up of both abiotic and biotic factors. So an ecosystem is a community of organisms that interact and depend on the non-living factors in the environment. Okay, and that is a vocabulary word we will come back to, and we're actually going to write it in our vocabulary section of our notebook later this week. Organisms are a word that you will hear me use during our notes today, and an organism is something that displays the characteristics of life and is classified as a living thing. So we're going to start with abiotic factors today, and we need to make sure that we know that abiotic factors equal without life. Without life. I don't know if that's more clear or not. Without life. Okay, so we need to take some notes about different things that fall into this. So just to kind of drive our point home, we already know that abiotic factors are without life. We need to make sure we know that they are not living. Okay? They never have been alive. And they never will be alive. Okay, I know that seems really repetitive and redundant, but I promise you it is important. Okay, then we're going to do some examples. So I want you guys to be thinking of some things that are not living. And we have a couple different categories that are going to fall into the non-living or abiotic factors. I'm going to start with the category air. So in air, this includes the atmospheric gases, and wind. A pretty simple category, atmospheric gases and wind. Second category that's going to go in these examples, water. Okay, but what does that include? So we are going to add to our category here by saying rain, humidity. Humidity is like moisture in the air. I know for me, I have naturally curly hair. So when it's a really humid day outside, my hair goes from like normal and calm looking to full on crazy poodle lady looking. So humidity, ice, clouds. We know that clouds hold water vapor. This also includes oceans, rivers, lakes, ponds, creeks. And then we're going to put ETC, which stands for etc. So anything else that kind of falls into this same or similar category is going to be considered non-living. Okay, next up, we have the category soil / rock / mineral. Okay, and this is going to include sand, salt, granite, which is a type of rock, things like gold, dirt, and anything else that would fall into that non-living soil, rock, mineral. So these are just some examples of that category. And then we have one more category that's pretty simple. And we're going to write the word light. Okay, so spoiler alert, the sun is not alive. Okay, neither are stars. Did you guys know that the sun is just a giant star? It is the biggest star of all. Fun fact. All right, so next up is going to be biotic factors. Okay? Ooh. So let me get y'all as close as possible on that one. Of our biotic factors, first thing we need to do is, I bet you guessed this, biotic means with life. With life. So then we're going to do some qualifying statements within that. So I'm betting y'all guessed this one too. This means living. Okay, this one gets a little tricky because there are some sticky points with it. So it can be something that once lived. Okay, if something once lived, that would mean it is dead now. Okay, this does not make it non-living. or abiotic. Okay, this at one point had life. So if you're talking about a dead mouse, at one point it was a biotic factor, so it remains qualified as a biotic factor. It came from a living thing. Okay, so this is stuff like wood. Wood is considered biotic because it came from a living thing. So I'm doing your notes today at home, and I'm sitting at my coffee table that's made of wood. So my wood is technically a biotic factor, the wood that makes this table, because it came from a tree that at one point was living. Just because the table is not currently going through the process of photosynthesis or depending on things to sustain life does not mean that it loses its qualification of being a biotic factor. Okay, and we're just going to go ahead and put this statement here to help clarify. This will include all plants and animals. All plants and animals. Okay, now we need to come to the bottom and do our examples. So again, we're going to break this down into categories. So my first category is going to be plants. Okay, and obviously we're not going to make an exhaustive list because that's more plants than we would have time to write. But we're going to keep it simple enough that you could reference it and still understand what you were talking about. So first up in plants, we're going to write grass. Okay, also trees, like we talked about my coffee table here. A log. Okay, remember, because it came from a living thing, it is considered biotic. Things like flowers, even dead flowers. Leaves, whether they're on the tree or off the tree. Fruits. Okay, fruits come from a plant. And vegetables. Okay, we're going to also put that ETC for etc. This list goes on. There's more to plants than just this. These are just examples. Okay, next up, we're going to do animals. All right, so animals. Y'all already know I'm going to start with a cat. Cat, an elephant, crickets. They're also living. They fall more into the insect section, but you guys understand my point. A dead mouse. You, okay, which is a human. Fish. This one's a little funny. Steak. Okay, steak comes from a living thing. Your steak that you eat comes from a cow. So it comes from a living thing. Even though it is not breathing while you're eating it, it is a biotic factor. We're also going to throw in birds, worms, and etc. If you have other things you'd like to add, feel free to add them. Okay, so if we take back and look at what we have written so far, you guys have notes on abiotic and biotic factors. So you should walk away from these notes knowing that abiotic means without life, something that has never lived and will never live. Biotic is something that has life or had life. So something that is alive, was alive, or came from something alive. Okay, and then you have a pretty generic list of examples down here that should help you moving forward today. I hope this was an easy way for you guys to take notes and a little bit less glitchy than if we had done them together on a team meeting. Let me know if you have any questions before you move on throughout the module today.